I think if someone who's skeptical can go through the journey and, still come out with all this amazing transformation and just healing and help, I think it totally can affect everybody. And there's no shape or person type that does Reiki. I think it would be beneficial to everyone, no matter what part of their journey they're at. And I would definitely recommend it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sonam Sombi. I have been sharing some clients and friends' experiences with Reiki to really just spread the knowledge and experiences of Reiki. Some people have a lot of questions and they may be afraid to ask what may be a reason you try Reiki or what you can expect in a session. And really every experience is so different and sometimes so profound and sometimes just so relaxing that I feel like it's best for you to just hear it straight from them. So today I have Anjali. Anjali started Reiki sessions about 5.5 months ago. And I think we were doing them bi-weekly, right? So maybe 12 sessions maximum. So Anjali, did you have any experiences with Reiki, meditation, sound healing prior to us doing a session?
I did. So my mom used to do Reiki for my dad when he was sick. It was just something that she kind of had introduced as a way of healing and also just giving some peace to other people. I
Yeah.
had only experienced it like firsthand, so nothing else. But yeah, just my mom.
And did you meditate regularly or want to try to meditate? Like, did you feel like it was hard to get to a meditative state before you had done it?
Yeah, definitely. I think I tried to meditate, once in a while as I was like in college or grad school. It was always just difficult. I could only do it for a few minutes and I had a hard time kind of staying focused or relaxing or kind of shutting my mind off. So I had a little bit of experience, but definitely struggled with it.
I don't know that we ever talked. So for everybody, we've done all of the sessions just like via call and not even FaceTime. So our first time was FaceTime, and now 6 months later, this is the second we're face to face. All of our sessions were distant sessions. So a lot of people will say like, oh, because of COVID or whatever, like I can't come down to you. But actually, like 40% of my clients are out of state, and so is Anjali, and we do all of our sessions distance. So I don't actually remember if you were like, hey, mom, I want to do Reiki, or if your mom was like, Britta, you must.
Probably a little bit of both. I think it was just kind of the pandemic had just started. I was just super anxious and my mind was all over the place. There's all this thing going on. And my mom kind of brought up that she had started to do Reiki sessions with you. She found it helpful. So she kind of had nudged me to do it. But I think I finally just kind of got that urge myself to be like, you know what, let me just try it. I wasn't sure if it would work. I wasn't sure if distant Reiki was going to work, but I was definitely open to trying it. And I felt like things became so much more easily accessible, some of this stuff with COVID. So I was down to like try it and see what happened, I guess.
So I think you were one of my first distant sessions, and
Yeah.
I was scared I wasn't going to be able to pick anything up for you to feel like, I had an experience. Obviously, I always believe it works, but like, I feel like you need tangible experiences, openness, especially because we didn't know each other, for you to like really feel comfortable. So, what was your first session like?
My first session, you had kind of talked about how I was very closed off. I was very skeptical if this would work, because my brain is very analytical. Like, I see this, so I know it's real, like science. And so I think for me, I was like, well, is this really going to work? Are you really going to be able to pick up anything? So you definitely picked up on that energy and told me how I was very blocked off, not very like open to things, skeptical. And I think that was very accurate for how I felt kind of that initial session. And then I think as we kind of got more comfortable, as I was able to open up, not only did it have a more profound effect on me in total, but it was kind of like exponential, the growth, like just from our connection being better and then me being more open to the whole process in general. Cause you start realizing that it like is really, really accurate and really picks up on a lot of things that maybe you yourself weren't even aware of.
And I think it's always so amazing when people can actually see how interconnected their mind, their body, and I mean, soul is a subjective word, so I'll refer to it as energy, but how everything is so interconnected. And it's like how your thoughts affect so much of who you are. And as you grow up, your experiences set you up as a certain way. And then you just feel like this is it. Like there's nothing I can do beyond this. And this is how I am. And I feel like with you, there was such a transformation of not necessarily your external world, because nothing changed, but how you approached your external world. And you were able to shift the way that you reacted and responded to certain people and situations so that you felt more in control and not like, well, this is what it's going to be like, and I don't know how to react to that. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. So I am the youngest in like a big family, both my parents' sides, and I've always been kind of treated like a baby. And I've always, gotten a lot of love from my family. But it's also, you get a lot of love and opinions on what's going on with your life. And so I think that's always been hard for me is to like kind of find my own voice. And I think it came from like, wanting to disappoint people you love and their expectations. And in general, Indian families always have high expectations and stuff like that. So I think it was really difficult for me to kind of feel comfortable in my own voice and think that even, just what I wanted was good enough. I think that was really big with Reiki, that I was able to kind of open up my throat chakra and feel more confident to make a decision that was the best for me, even if maybe other people didn't agree with it. And I think that was initially really hard because I needed that external validation. And then also, I think because of a lot of this, I felt like what defined me was all these external things like who I am, what I do, how much money I make, or how, the things I have and the relationships I have. And that's what kind of like you're saying makes you feel like, okay, well, this is just the way I am. But when you're able to kind of with Reiki look deeper into yourself and find like stability in just who you are without all these external things, the less disruptive your life is when like a pandemic happens and you happen to be unemployed for the first time.
Yeah. And so for others, I feel like, and if I could share, I think it was three-part for us of first identifying the attachment to
Mm-hmm.
the world, and then figuring out what it is that you wanted and what made you happy, regardless of people's opinions, because it was like, well, this is what everybody says, and I'm going to choose from that. And then you were able to be like, okay, if we block all of that out, what is it that I want? And then there was a struggle of like, how do I voice this now? How do I express that and still be loving towards a person, even if they don't agree with me?
Yeah.
And the next step to that was relationships shifting around you and changing around you, and people being like, oh, who's this new person? And then really just embracing it, which was like the grand finale of like, oh yeah, like this is what I want. And like, here we are. Which I think was brilliant. It was beautiful. I loved seeing that like step by step of like, people think it just happens overnight, but it doesn't. And which is why it's sometimes a process and a progress.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's not until me and you sit down and look at like your notes and our journey and my journaling from like day one to now that I'm like, oh, wow. When you put it all together, you're like, that's huge.
And because you just become the new version of you. So then I'll tell you guys next, I get it from Anjali. And so for like 3 sessions, we're working on manifesting this dream job. She's unhappy with her job from the first session, and she wants this dream job and this dream experience. We figure out what it is that she wants. So part of the same steps, how to get it, what would that look like, and like the fears of, what if I'm jobless or switching and in the economy and blah, blah, blah. And I get this text message from her and she's like, Sonam, I got this job and it's perfect and this is more and this is great and da da da. Like, what do you think I should do? So I literally didn't respond for I think a whole day. And finally I was like, but this is what we were doing. Like we were manifesting this and you got it. And so it was like this crazy moment. And sometimes it presents itself and not in a situation that you ideally have. And that's what happened for you, where you're like, well, this is now different and that's now different. But at the essence of it, you got what you wanted.
Yes. And that's why I'm so grateful that we have a friendship where I can like talk to you about this stuff, because a lot of like what I struggle with is like, should I trust my intuition? And that's what we've been kind of working on, is for me to like feel more comfortable just making my own decisions and trusting my gut and everything. But even though it's like so funny that like we manifested this job and this is exactly what I wanted, that I was like still not sure. And I was still like, oh, like I'm still scared. Should I take it? It's still like a lot of change.
Yeah. And of course, that's natural, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't how content you are and strong you are, and the intuition is so real. Like the fear of the unknown, right? The million and one things that can potentially happen is still there.
Yes. So I'm very grateful that I gotten like a good connection. So you're able to like pick up on it and be like, yes, like this is what's good for you. And I'm like, having that trust is like so helpful. So I
Yeah.
really
And that,
appreciate that.
and not that that's me, that could be anybody, but not having somebody that is invested in your day to day, right? Like
Mhm.
our husbands can be super supportive and all of that is wonderful, but like my decisions still affect my husband. They still affect my family. So I feel like it's hard to always ask an unbiased. So it's nice to have somebody that truly cares and sees your journey while still
Yeah.
being biased of your outcome of like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. How has your awareness and how you are with others and your relationships changed?
So I think a huge part of it was just my like relationship with myself, understanding my emotions better, understanding why I might be reacting like I might be reacting, understanding what's really going on. And sometimes we kind of focus on like the superficial stuff that's like affecting us. But I think kind of starting to gain more awareness of my deep true self, especially, certain times of the month where like our energy and how that changes, I've become a lot more kind of aware. So one, it's affected my communications with like all my relationship, like with my husband, I'm able to communicate better about how I'm feeling, and that helps us and what truly might be going on rather than focusing on something superficial. Setting boundaries in my relationships, standing up for myself, to know what's right for me and not be swayed by other people's input, and kind of just knowing who I am better. And I think that's kind of like at the core of all my relationships, and that's really improved, is my perspective on like how I feel about certain things, what I want. And also just helped me, I guess, become more peaceful, less reactive to certain things. I think
Yeah.
that's what the world needs right now, right? Like this more
Yeah.
healing energy. And I think it's huge. You might think it's just like you kind of being affected, but I think that energy that you put out there is affecting others. It's helping transform, and that's how we transform the energy. It's just kind of little by little.
As a
Being
collective,
more
individually, and then whole. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm,
Thank you
yeah.
for everybody else. If you have any questions, if you have questions for Anjali specifically, you can send them to me either through email or whatever social media we're on. You can send me a private message and I'll forward them over to her. And then if you have any questions about Reiki itself or what the experience is like or anything like that, you can reach out to me or any Reiki practitioner in your area. And even just, checking out different classes, being open to it, I would highly recommend it.
Me
Thanks so
too.
much.
Love you. Bye.
Love you.